Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 18th. Is that right? What is happening to this month? It is flying by. Let me know in the comments if you feel like it's flying by too. Oh my God, November 18th. So I am heading to Target. I have some things I need to pick up for my son, and I am not going in today. I just ordered online, and I'm going to swing by the little drive up and pop my trunk, and it'll be very contactless delivery, which I love that they do that. So that is what I'm going to be doing, and I got more post-it notes. So that should be a relief to have to finish up some of this plotting wall that I've been working on. I have been basically working on plotting and different things like that all morning. But for now, I am going and I'm going to try to zip out there and zip back before it's time for me to put Evie down for a nap.
Nobody told me to settle down. Day nights and late nights don't get around. But there's something about you I like. About you I like. You're crazy for saying.
Okay, I'm back from the store. I got so much cute stuff at Home Goods. I can't wait to unwrap all of it, but one of the things that I got, was this Rae Dunn Joy pillow. My husband is always complaining that I have too many pillows in the house anyway, but I could not resist it. I also got this really pretty centerpiece that has kind of like fake lights on it, and I might add a few extra things to it, but it does light up, so that's going to be nice. But some really cute stuff at Home Goods, including a little game to take on vacation because we're going to be spending a ton of time in the room. And I thought this would be something kind of fun for Andrew to play. It says ages 8+, so it says, what am I? And it's yes, no, and maybe kind of questions to kind of guess what it is. So that'll be fun. I also got Target delivery, or they kind of brought it up to the car because my son is growing like a crazy kid. He's growing so fast, and he's just getting so tall. He's definitely going to be taller than George and myself. So I also got some beloved Post-its. They didn't have all the colors that I needed, but this puts me back on track for finishing my board. I don't have all the colors, but I figure I can substitute in if I need to and just write the names on it. So yeah, I'm going to unpack this stuff and get back to work. I won't go through a full haul, but I will show you some of the stuff I got when I do my Christmas decorating, hopefully this weekend or next week when the book is done. But I got these cocoa spoons that already have, like, they're covered in chocolate and peppermint with little marshmallows. And I thought not only will those probably be yummy, but they're going to be really cute for decorating too. And a little Rae Dunn peppermint mocha mug with a top to it. So I just thought that was so cute, and it's probably my favorite thing that I got. So when I just went to go put Evie down for her nap time, she was so snuggly and loving, and she's just so much fun. Like, she has this little automated sound machine that comes on when it's time for her nap, and so she knows now that when that sound comes on, it's time to, like, get ready for bed. And it came on today, and she just goes running around the room. She's been doing this with my husband, I think, a lot, and she just giggles because then he chases after her, and so she's doing it now with me too. And so I was like snuggling her and chasing her, and she was so happy. And when I laid her down in the crib, I told her I love her, and she goes, happy. And she's just now like starting to really speak. She says things like shoes, eat, more please, happy, mommy, daddy. She has a growing vocabulary, I think. For 14 months, she's doing really well, and happy is one of her new words ever since Halloween, and we said it like 1,000 times to all the trick-or-treaters, happy Halloween, happy Halloween. So now she says happy, and so when I gave her a little kiss on the head, she said happy, and I thought, that makes everything worth it. Happy. that makes it all worth it. Okay, you guys, so it has just been a hat kind of day today, but I wanted to just kind of update you. I have been pretty much working steadily on the edits for this novel, and I've been going back to previous versions of the book. I don't think I've fully explained this on the channel, and if I have, I apologize, but this book, Fate's Surrender, actually used to be called Pandemic, which is so appropriate for this year of craziness. And if I had known years ago when I first started this that we would be in this situation and I would be finishing this book, it probably would have blown my mind. But anyway, I started writing this book all the way back in, I believe, 2008. I worked on it for Nano in 2009, finished the book that year, that following year. And in 2010, I attended a conference and ended up actually submitting the book to my dream agent and to, or not submitting, but pitching the book to my dream agent and to an editor at Tor Teen. And they both requested pages. Tor requested a full manuscript and the agent requested some scenes, or the first 60 pages or something. I waited to send it to Tor because I wanted to see what the agent was going to say first, because obviously if I would have gotten the agent, I would have had her send it to Tor. And basically the agent rejected it pretty quickly and said she loved my writing style, but that the story just wasn't compelling enough for her and that she wished me the best and that I would send her something in the future. So very nice message, but it was a rejection. And at the time I had been really looking at self-publishing. Now, back in 2010, there was still a huge stigma around self-publishing. Kindle publishing was relatively new. Barnes & Noble was just about to start. It was more difficult to get on iBooks. Google Play didn't even exist. So it was a very different kind of industry. And most people were like, that'll be the end of your career. Don't you dare do it. But in my little heart, I kept thinking, this is really what I want to do. And I hope that this will be the right thing for me. And so when I got that rejection, I decided not to take this book, Pandemic, about a global pandemic and witches and zombies and stuff, and publish that one or even send it to Tor. I just said, okay, I'm going to write something new. And I went and had the word believe tattooed on my arm. And I said, I am going to just believe in myself and not worry about a publisher. I'm going to start my own publishing company and I'm going to do this thing by myself. So at that point, I wrote, I have a little picture of it here. I wrote my book, Beautiful Demons. This was not the cover on the book originally, but I wrote this book and published it in October of 2010. And then I published the first 6 books in that series within the first few years. In 2013, though, I went back to my original book, Pandemic, and I reworked it. And so that book was about 95 to 100,000 words. And when I went back to rewrite it and finally publish it, but self-publish it, I sort of changed the whole beginning. I elongated some of the story and basically ended up using maybe the first third of the book as the basis for the first new book in the series, which is now called Death's Awakening. Then I sort of let it sit for a few years while I finished up other things and wrote other things. And then I came back to it in 2016 and still used parts of that original novel to write the second book, Sorrow's Gift. Most of it was new words, but some of it was still inspired by that first book. So here I am, yet another 4 years down the road. We are living in a global pandemic, and I am finally going back to that original 100,000 words and using parts of the end of that original book in this book. And I think that that is part of why this one has been such a beast for me. Not only is it 8 points of view, but it's also, I'm using inspiration that I had as a writer 12 years ago or more. And it's hard to bring that vision to life 12 years later. So in some ways, I would say that my advice would be to, or I guess as an experience, just share with you that even if you liked a story that you had as an idea and you worked on for a while, it can be, just as a warning, harder to go back to those old stories, because this has been so much harder for me to work on than if I had just come up with a brand new story. And I want to see it through. I'm excited to finish the story. I know it's going to be good and it will have been worth all the time I've spent on it, hopefully, but it's just been so much harder. And if I had to go back and tell my 2013 self whether to start working on this series or start something brand new, I probably would tell her, oh my gosh, start something brand new. Except for the fact that now that I'm coming to the end, I do love this series. I do love these characters and I'm proud of what I've created. But I just wanted to take a minute as we're sitting here to tell you that as you get to these harder parts of the story, many of you are going to start to experience, and of course, if you've done this many times before, I'm not telling you anything new, but if you're a newer to Nano writer, as you get into these harder days, a lot of that initial excitement that you felt is going to start to wane. And what's going to happen is all these little plot bunnies are going to start like grabbing your attention. Shiny object syndrome. You're going to start saying, oh, this book is not as good, but I've got this other idea from a few years ago that I'd like to go back and work on. Or I've got this other idea that I had sketched out, or I just watched this new movie and now I've got an idea for a series that's going to be even better than this one. And it's easy at this point to convince yourself that this book is pretty much the worst book you've ever written. But if you could start working on a different one, that one would be really good. Obviously, I don't have this luxury right now because I've got this book on pre-order. I already had to push it back. This book is getting done one way or another within the next week. But you sitting there, if you don't have your book on pre-order and you're just working on your Nano book, then it can be really tempting to say, I'm going to give up on this one and I'm going to write this other thing that sounds better. And your brain can convince you, it's very convincing actually as an artist, that you have this saboteur in your brain that can convince you that this story is so bad, in fact, that it's such a mess that it's just off the rails and it's never going to be fixable. And you've really got to start working on something else because this one is it's just so bad, it can't be fixed. But I assure you that that is a totally 100% normal way to feel about halfway through Nano or halfway through your book or a third of the way through your book, that it gets hard in the middle for most of us, that the plot isn't as easy to figure out. The characters are starting to get into more difficult, realm of their own responsibility for the story and their character arc. And it just... all of that initial momentum and excitement is wearing off. And some people are even dropping off unless people are talking about it, because a lot of people tend to drop out of Nano around this time and they just don't ever finish. It's like, what's the point? This book sucks. But I promise you that if you stick with it, when you go back a few months from now and you're reading through all these amazing things that you wrote, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why did I think that was so terrible? Because this book is actually really, really good. And you're going to feel that to your core and you're going to be like, I'm so glad I did not give up on it. Plus, so many writers, if I look at so many of like the people that I've worked with, the people I've talked to over the years, one of the number one things that holds them back is the fact that they start something, get about halfway through or get to a point where it gets hard, and then they lose it, they let go, they lose track or lose touch with the storyline. And then some other new idea comes up and they think, I'm going to do that one because that one's going to turn out so much better. But you get into this stop and start pattern where you get off and running, you love the idea, and you're starting to explore the world. And that's really the fun part for so many of us. And then when it gets hard, a new idea comes up and your brain convinces you that this other one isn't any good, but this new one is a really good story. And this time it's going to be different. And so I'm just here to very gently remind you that you made a commitment this month to work on this book. And it's not terrible. It's not as bad as you think, not even close to as bad as you think. And no matter how tangled of a mess it is, you have made a commitment and you want to keep going on it. Because if you spend your whole life as a writer, if you have these dreams of being a published author or a successful author who is doing this for a career or whatever your dream is, you're not going to get there by starting stories that you never finish. And I know that sounds like harsh advice from Sarah on a random, you're getting this on a Thursday night, but I'm just telling you, we've all been there before where we're sure that our book is the worst, and it's not. And if you really want to make your dreams come true, finish this book, because there is a clarity that comes at the end of a novel where you finally see all the pieces that as they needed to go together. And hopefully some of my process throughout this month and watching it has shown you that even as you're editing it, massive parts of the story might change, and that's normal too. So even if it sucks, you can still edit it into something great, but you have to go through the hard parts of the exploration and the figuring out of the story in order to get to that beautiful place. And if you don't push yourself past the point of doubt to finish the book, then you're just always going to be at the starting line and you're never going to hit the finish line. So if you want to make your dreams come true, sit back down tonight, keep working on this book. Any other ideas you have, you can work on next month. But this month you made a commitment to this novel, so I'm going to challenge you to stick with it and to finish this one book so that when you get done with it, you can see that you're capable of finishing and you can believe in yourself. So that's my random message, not again as much of a vlog to this ending, but I am currently working on these 3 documents. So I have pulled up, let me show you. What I'm doing is I'm going back to an old version when this book was called Pandemic. Basically, I'm going back through some of these older chapters and just kind of pulling out scenes that I didn't use before. I still am planning to use some of this, but like I said, a rewritten version of it and not exactly, like the story's obviously changed. But I've been kind of pulling things over. So right now I have my 3 documents. I have the original Pandemic version. I have my rough draft of Fate Surrender, which is this current 3rd book in the series. And then I have what I'm titling as the final draft of the series, which is now up to 38,000 words or somewhere around there. And I've just been editing this, and I still have you can see this little XX here is just notes to myself. So this obviously isn't fully edited either. So what I'm about to do is sit down. It's about 8:36. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to work on this and see how far I can get. Tomorrow night, I need to start getting like actual new words again so that I can get, to 60 or 70,000 words by Monday. If you are interested, I do have a Facebook group called the Heart Breathings Word Sprint Challenge. And right now we have 2,000 members in the group, and it is a really fun group. There are almost always every day going some kind of live sprints. So see, Kyan actually has some live sprints going right now, and there's people hanging out in there. But we are also doing a live writing retreat coming up this weekend. So on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, which is just coming up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're doing our monthly November writing retreat. So this is a virtual retreat where we kind of just pretend. This month we're pretending to go to a beachside retreat in Bali and just have a spa day. And I've rented out the entire hotel for the next 3 days. So grab your tickets, pack your bags, take your flight, and join us over in Bali. And a lot of people are kind of joining us for this, and it's going to be really fun. We do it every month. We have a accountability spreadsheet where people can put in what they hope to achieve for the weekend. So if you want a little bit of an extra boost, come join us. I will put a link down below. There's always a link to this group in the description box. We do have some live sprints that go on every day, and then otherwise you can just start sprints in the comments and say, hey, I'm sprinting, come join us. So if you want to join that, I will be running sprints on Friday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. and then other people take over throughout the day. So if you want to come join us, we will be in there and it'll be a lot of fun. So I have those 3 documents pulled up, and I'm basically probably not going to get any new words tonight, but I'm really hoping that I can decide which words I'm pulling in so that this weekend I can get tons of awesome stuff done. So come join us in the HB Writing Sprint group and come retreat with us. I will see you starting on Friday if you come join us, and we will have lots of live sprints and hanging out, and it's going to be a really cool vlogging weekend, and I cannot wait to see you there. So let me know in the comments if you are still sticking with your story, how you're doing for Nano, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's NaNoWriMo Diaries. Good night.
One of us gotta say